And we're live. So this here is a new product I'm trying, which is a 7-day email course. And I spent a lot of time making this. It's emails, so they're written out, but there's also links to different videos and resources. And it's a lot. It's 80% probably of my course in a drip format, in the sense that every day you get one email and it's actionable things to practice. 80% probably. And there's a project assigned, or you can work on your own project if you want. But the idea is every day you get a little bit of exposure to new skills in Descript, building up to a basic proficiency at the end of a week. And each email, I recommend you take about 60 to 90 minutes to do the assigned work and watch the resources, practice the skills. And it's free. I'm making it completely free. So you can sign up here on Gumroad, and let me leave this in the chat. Let me put that in the chat. It's descriptmastery.gumroad.com/email. And then as soon as you sign up, all it asks for is your email, and you start getting the drip. And then every day, every 24 hours after the first one, you get the next email. So yeah, I'm testing this out. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if it works for you. There's no risk to you. I'm not going to spam you with emails. Yeah. You can unsubscribe at any point if you want, if you don't like it. So I just wanted to show you that. That's something I've been working on and will benefit the community. And without further ado, let's dive in to today's lesson. So Monday we did, yesterday we did shapes. Monday we did templates. Today I was thinking we could go deeper into B-roll, adding B-roll. So first of all, when you open the media bin, the first tab that you're on is files, and files is everything that has been added to your project, including B-roll when you add it, or including stock footage when you add it. But most especially, this is where the starting point for adding your own media. So your own videos, your own audio, your own images, all media lives in here. You can drag and drop your files into here, as it says, drag and drop, or click to add files. If you click this add files, it does the same thing as this one down here, which is it'll open up a browser, a computer browser. I'm not sure we call that the browse your computer window. And then you can find any file on your computer to add to your project. And then you just select that file and then pull it into Descript. Of course, the easier way is to drag and drop. And you can also drag and drop directly into here. Let me demo it right now. So here is a thumbnail I used for a video. This one's just an image. It's a .png type of file. And I can drag it, and when I hover over, I get this purple highlight that's telling me that it's recognizing a file is trying to be placed there. And when I release, I get a little adding file and media added, and there it is. And by default, it makes that image, this is a blank project, and it by default made it 6 seconds long. And it's just an image, so it doesn't move. There's no audio associated with it. It just makes it 6 seconds. If it was a video, it would put in that entire video. If it was a minute, if it was 10 minutes, however long it is, it would go ahead and put that in. So like, let me just do that right now. So here's a video. I'm just dragging this off of my computer out of my downloads folder, and I drop it in, and media added. And as you can see, there's the name of the file, Rode NT USB Mini versus PodMic.mp4. How many speakers should we look for? Defaults to 1. This video only has 1 speaker, so I'm going to leave it at that. And it says detecting speakers. So I'll just give this a moment so you can see what that looks like. And it's loading. Multiple speakers detected. It shouldn't, because it's just me, but if I click identify speakers, here's what that sounds like. And I'm going to mute my microphone here so that I don't get an echo. Let me see here.
You're considering between the Rode NT-USB Mini and
so it did just detect one. It says it's one of one, even though it told me previously that it was multiple speakers. It's just me. And if I click on this word that says speaker, I can select myself. And then it says that's it. If you need to adjust the speaker labels, simply drag and drop. So if I had a bunch of speakers, it would have hopefully identified that. And then I could label each of those speakers in order to use their AI voices if I had it, or just to keep things organized, just to have each label, have all the speakers labeled appropriately. You can set your language here. This is for transcribing it, and then you'll hit done. And you can see it's already transcribed it, and it's labeled it as me, Ross. So, very good. That is adding two different file types. The other way, those were both drag and drop methods just directly into the transcript portion of it. I could have also dropped it down here into the timeline. I could have dropped it directly into the media bin, straight into the files. And as I was mentioning, anytime you add a file, it goes in here. So there is my .png. That one's called YouTube Thumbnails 1, and then Rode NT USB Mini versus PodMic.mp4. So those two files are in there. And let me find some audio. You know what? Let's have a little bit of, I'm going to show you something fun. So there's this tool called Udio. And Udio is an AI music generating software platform. So let me sign in here. And what this is the way that you have DALL-E that creates images, text to image, or you have, actually, I'm going to relabel this for a moment. Okay, so let me just do that, and then say free course. Okay, so I got that all set. I was just updating the title of this live stream so that maybe more people will see it and join. But Udio is this tool right here. It's udio.com. It's like audio without the A. And you can type in here a prompt in plain English. So the placeholder they have is a song about the secret life of a novelist. But I'm going to write a song about a YouTube live stream teaching about Descript, the video editing software. And then, so you could type it in plain English, describe as descriptively as you want, and then you could type in the genre, anything about anything you want this to create. And then down here, there's suggested tags. So you can do rock, electronic, pop, jazz, etc. I'm going to do, because this will be fun, sea shanty. And then I'm going to hit create. It says creating your tracks. Amazing music is seconds away. And it shouldn't take long at all. And then down here, these are music songs that have been created by other people, other users of this platform. And you can see these all have names. They have the artist name below it. And it also creates album artwork. So pretty cool. It just spits all this out for you. And here's what it's doing. This one is called Stream and Teach. And it says jazz, pop, and folk is the genre. and it's still loading. It's got that loading bar. And the other one's called Clicks and Shanties. But as soon as that finishes, we'll be able to listen to it. I was talking the other day about how Descript will probably have Sora, a text-to-video tool, built into it soon. I predict by the end of the year, just like we have text-to-image right now. And it will probably have this as well. If OpenAI has a text-to-audio tool, which I'm sure they're working on, maybe it's even out already. I don't know. I haven't seen it if they have it. But this will probably be in your video editor in Descript in the next few months. So let's go into Clicks and Shanties. And then down here, you got the lyrics. So this is what we're about to hear. And this is only, it doesn't say it here, but back here, these are only 32-second songs. So this is free to use. I haven't paid anything for this. And you get, it says somewhere here, all the ones I've made are 32 seconds long. You can make 600 a month, and probably if you wanted it to be more than that, you probably have to pay. I haven't done that. I haven't gotten deep enough to know. But without further ado, let me just play this.
Hit record and then she starts teaching. Clip that audio for smooth speech. Frame the scene and now you're reaching live on the stream in the evening. Hit record and then Todd starts teaching. Trim the noise for clear.
Pretty wild, isn't it? And so you can create any song you want, and then you can add it to a playlist. You can like it. You can download it. So you could download this and then use it in your videos. You could remix it. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten deep enough into this tool to know what all this is. So you could write your own lyrics here. I haven't seen this part. You could just manually type into here, change the lyrics, and then customize it in that way. You could go to this instrumental, which gets rid of the lyrics and just plays the audio portion, or the audio generator, which is all I've done so far. Oh, there is an extend option here. So you can add a section. You can add an intro, add a section before, add a section after. Let's try that. Let's see if we extend it. And you can see here, it tells you how many out of your daily generations that you've used. I've used 1 out of 600. And if I refresh this, let's see. I think it's still processing. Let's listen to what some of the other people have made.
If you do this, humankind is over. Always remember, we love you.
So super interesting. And yeah, you could use this in your, well, with that, maybe I shouldn't advocate using this because I don't know the copyright considerations. And maybe it's not clear yet what the precedent is for that. But pretty amazing tool, and your imagination is the only limit there. So yeah, that's Udio. Okay, that was a long tangent. What I was talking about, and I see we got people joining on different channels now. So if you have comments, please feel free to leave them. But I've just been talking about the media bin, and then I went off on a tangent to show an AI music generation tool called Udio. But back to the media bin. So you can drag and drop your files directly into here. And let me download one of these. That was why I pulled this up in the first place, was to have some music to go off of. So let me if I open up this song and I download it, download audio. There's a download video option as well. That's interesting. I wonder if it generates a video with it. Oops. Oh, okay, it's already done. Super fast. So I can find that file. did it go? There it is, Song of Arrakis. Okay, so I can find it, and then I can just drop it into my media bin here. And there it is. I can see the sound waves for it. I can play it with the
greatest leader we've ever seen. They say he's a little naive. Eyes bright blue, hair jet black. You should see him right on the center we're back. Lead us to victory.
All right, that's our song. I'm gonna stick with it. And then I could insert it, add a new layer, or insert it into the script. If I insert it into the script, it's gonna go into the transcript, it's gonna get transcribed, and then I'm gonna see the words on the transcript portion of the video. So I'm gonna do add new layer, and there it is. It's that blue layer. If I unselect it, it turns green. Audio layers are green. Video and image layers are blue, as well as title, text layers, also blue. And we also see it on our transcript, that blue music or that green music note icon. That's letting us know that some sound effect has been added there, a sound effect, or in this case, music. And then I can change the properties here. I can make it quieter. I could say like -25. I find that for background music, I might as well talk about this right now. For background music, there's a few ways that you can do it and make it sound nice. One way is to just set the volume of the audio track, and you could do, I typically use about -20 to -25 decibels, which is what this is. And that's soft enough where it's not overpowering the speaker. And it's gonna depend on the speaker, it's gonna depend on the audio track, but generally 20 to 25, -20 to 25 is gonna be about right. But the other way, the more elegant way to do it, is to go to your script layer, select it, and turn this on right here, this thing that says ducking. And what ducking does, if I open up the effect settings, it says 10%. And what that means is everything, all the other sound layers relative to the one that I have selected is going to be lowered to 10% of its volume. So if this sound layer was, let's move it back to 0%, and then let me, because 0% is going to be really loud. That would overpower the speaker. But if I select, go back to my script layer, I turn on ducking, and let's try 10%. Let's see how that sounds. And then I'm going to play this, and what it'll do is lower all the other audio layers, which in this case is just that green one, that music layer, to 10% of its full volume. So I'm going to mute my mic, and I'm going to play this.
Released to the market, and I've made hundreds of pieces of content with it. Almost everything on this channel until recently.
So that works. It's not overpowering. It's not good background music because it's got lyrics. It's not something that I would use in an actual video, but you get the idea of how that could be useful. And then you could also add sound effects. If you go to audio, sound effects, you can add these. The sound effects are typically, just to go over that again slower, there's the music tab here first, and these are like longer melodies. You know, these are a minute to up to 4 minutes, I think is about as long as they get. And these are built into Descript. They're free to use with your subscription. And yeah, sometimes I can talk about this later. You can get flagged for copyright violations by YouTube's copyright system and probably other content platforms. But there's ways around that. So if you have more questions about that, I can go into it. But here's sound effects right next to the music. And these are typically really short, like less than 1 second. You can see the times over here on the right. So less than 1 second, 10 seconds, they're sound effects, they're short. And if I apply one of these, because I have ducking applied on my script layer, that ducking is going to apply to the sound effect as well. So that's one thing to be careful of, is if you apply ducking late in your project after you've already applied sound layers, it's going to lower everything to 10%, and that might make your sound effects hard to hear. So balancing the sound is very important, especially with those sound effects. You don't want them too loud, but you don't want them to be not audible at all. Okay, so that's adding stuff to your sound, your files, your media bin. And now that I've added that stock media, the sound effect and the music layer, if I open this up, there's a new folder in here called stock media, and everything that I've added from stock media will go in here. So I got my flash whoosh swoosh, and I can add a GIF. Let me just add like a random GIF. And that thing looped throughout the whole video. That's why that layer is there. Let me just make this smaller, put it off to the side. And if I go back to my media bin, go back to files, there's that GIF inside of the stock media folder. And you can make your own folders. So if you have like a ton of media, just as a way to organize, you could put media inside of these. You could create your own folders, and you could call this raw video. You know, you could have video assets, you could have photos, whatever makes sense for your project. And then if you make multiple compositions within this project called YouTube Thumbnails 1, if I have multiple compositions, then in the second and beyond composition, my additional compositions, I go back to the media bin, all of my assets are shared among all of the compositions in this project. So that's handy. And Descript is kind of weird in that sense that your media bin is only contained to a project. So if I go to another project, if it's a blank project, I'm gonna start with a blank media bin. I can't import the media or share the media from another project. So that's all to say, you can only share media within a single project, within the compositions within a single project. And then if I go back to my media bin, so I got these different folders. I can drag things in, I can put them, organize them into these folders. I could add images. And if I go back to my media bin, I look at my stock photos or my stock media, there it is. Everything's neatly in there. What is that one? Photo. So I'll put that in my photos bin. And you can organize it. So there's different ways to sort and filter. If you have just a ton of media, like you have hundreds of photos, hundreds of videos, all this stuff building up into the media bin, then this is how you could sort through it. You could sort by file type so that you could find just audio, just images, just media that's been transcribed, media that hasn't been transcribed. This could be useful if you are on a free plan, or it doesn't matter what plan you're on. If you're constrained by your transcription time limits and you're rationing, you're holding off a few days. Yesterday was April 30th. You wanted to wait 24 hours to the calendar page turned in order to reset your transcription time. You could have sorted by untranscribed, found all those files, and then transcribed them now that it's May 1st. Yeah, unused. So this is any files that haven't been put into your project yet. You have used. This is stuff that has been put into your project. You sort by just video. And then you can sort by direction, descending or ascending, alphabetical, duration of the project, if you got audio or video, and then by usage, again, whether it's used or unused inside of this project. And then you can reset those filters. Let's see, what else? You can dock this. So that button right there docks it, or you can have it free floating where you can drag it around your screen like so. You can close the dock and it'll remember your preference. So if I close that, or if I click on the media bin again, it goes away, but it'll save my preference to dock it on this side. Let me close that. And back to the media bin. 1 second. Okay, and then, so I showed you drag and drop, and I showed you the browse to your browse on your computer with the add files button down here at the bottom. The other way, if, you know, in Descript, there's always multiple ways, there's redundant ways to do things. And so pick the one that makes the most sense to you, pick the one that's the most intuitive, and there is no right or wrong way. And you might use a variety of them based on what's convenient in the moment. But especially, let me show you the view when you have a brand new composition. So I guess it's already got a scene in there. What if I can't go back to that view. When you first open a brand new project, there's a button that says add files right on the transcript portion of it. Or if you come down here, there's this plus button, and you can add things this way. So if I click on files, there are all of my files from my media bin. If I go back, I can go into a recording, which brings me right here. I did a deep dive on recording 2 days ago. You can check that out. Here's the view I was looking for. So right there where it says add file. So this is the other way, where you can click on that and then browse on your computer, which I'm not going to do right now, but that's an option for you. I think the easiest thing for most people is to drag and drop, find it on your desktop or pull it out of your external hard drive. If you've got a bunch of video, pull it straight off your camera and then just put it into here. I do most of my Descript stuff, especially for this channel, is just using Descript's built-in recorder. So often I'll just do this right here, and then you choose if you want audio only, if you want your camera, or if you want a screen recording with your camera. That is how you would do that. Let me close that. And these 3 dots, you can add a scene, add a speaker label, add inline notes, or add a marker, which you can do. Over here is all the different layer types. So you got like Giphy. So backing up, the files we talked about at length. Recording we talked about. Music, these from music on down, we're mostly into the stock footage library, Descript's built-in stock footage library. So music, we have the songs, and you can play these, preview them. You have sound effects, which again are short ones. They're, you know, beeps or mouse clicks or things like that. You have captions, which will just apply a caption layer that puts text on the screen that is reading your transcript. It'll put the words that you're saying onto the video. And then text are static. So texts are going to be just something that you set once and it does not move. And shapes are, I did a deep dive yesterday, a 1-hour lesson on shapes. You have 6 different types of shapes: rectangle, ellipse, waveform, progress bar, line, and arrow. And then videos, these will be Descript's built-in videos. And you get a lot of different nature scenes. You could type in airport here and it'd find a video of a plane. You could type in office, you know, you get the idea. And Giphy GIFs, these are like these. Now, of all of the different types of media, of Descript's built-in media, these are the ones to be the most cautious with in terms of copyright, because these are not allowed to be used commercially. So take that for what it's worth. You know, you don't put it on your YouTube videos. Don't put it on, especially monetized YouTube videos, your course, things like that. Be careful with them. Same with Giphy stickers. These are from the same company, Giphy, and they're not allowed to be used commercially. There are third-party platforms where you can buy things. You could also use Canva. If you have a Canva subscription, you could pull those assets and export them from Canva as like a MP4, or as in this case a GIF, and then pop that into your project. Backgrounds, these are typically like they're a little more boring than the videos. Like this one's just kind of like a canvas looking thing. They might be like stars, or this looks like it's a concert. So they're just what they sound like, backgrounds. And then images are stills. These are not videos. They don't move. They're just pictures of nature or whatever you want, whatever you look up. Unsplash and illustrations are also different forms of images. And then the last one is the generate images. And this one is actually OpenAI's product called DALL-E, where you can give it a prompt in plain English and it'll generate a photo based on your prompt. So I could say hand-drawn guy working at a standing desk, because that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see what it comes up with. And a trick I just learned recently is to use hand-drawn, and it comes up with a lot better images than if, what I always used to do is try to say like photorealistic or high res or 4K or something like that. And it does a lot better, a lot cooler images with this kind of thing, with hand-drawn. Seems to produce a better result. So that's not bad. That's pretty cool, right? And for those of you just joining on the different streams, please feel free to leave comments, or questions rather. But I was going over Udio. I was showing this tool Udio, which is text to music. So it generates a song based on a prompt, and this is completely free to use. You can just go to udio.com and then you type something in here and it'll generate a prompt for you. And then down here you can choose like a genre, rock, electronic, pop, whatever, and you can make some really cool songs. These are songs that have been created by other people. And this sounds funny. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, anyways, it's cool. It's cool technology. It's really exciting where this is all heading. And yeah, so I've covered a lot of the different use cases of applying media. The other day on Monday, I did a deep dive on the recording functionality, how and when to use the different settings here. So go back and check that out. That was the stream from April 29th. And what else? I'm running out of things to talk about unless someone gives me questions in the chats. So we covered new folder. The other option is, oh, you know what? I haven't talked about this much in any of my videos. File from link. So if you click on that, this is pretty limited. The only thing you can do, you can see the placeholder here. It says paste a Zoom or Giphy link. And that's all you can do. Is if you have a recording from Zoom, so a cloud stored Zoom recording, then you could drop the link in there and it would add that file to your project, or a Giphy link. So if you pull something off of Giphy's website, which, let me do that. If I do like Giphy, and I find something on here, for example, this dude right here, and I say share, copy GIF link. I come back to my project and I paste that in, and I say add file. There it is. So that is presumably their website is going to have a lot bigger library than what you get from built-in Descript, from the built-in Giphy GIFs there. But with that said, the same restrictions apply. What I mentioned before of like being careful that you don't have the commercial rights to use these. So take that for what it's worth, especially if your YouTube channel is monetized or you're putting it onto a paid course. I have heard of creators getting sued for using assets that they don't have the rights to. But that's how you do it, is that in your files here, in your media bin, 3 dots, file from link, and then you can paste a Zoom or a Giphy link right there. And it also says you can paste it directly into compositions. So you could just, the same principle as like the drag and drop, you just put it straight into your transcript and you'll have that Giphy asset in there. Now, the third and final option here is create sequence. And this is a little bit harder to show. I don't have files ready to go at this moment to show you a sequence, but sequence are a fundamental skill for creating interviews. Or anytime that you have multi-camera, it could be one speaker, but multi-camera, you need to be using sequences. Sequences are containers of all of the different files that you have. And so, yeah, that you can put, like, if you had multiple speakers, it would keep them all in sync so that when you make a cut on your timeline, it keeps all those tracks in sync without, if you make a cut to one and they're not in sequences, then the other three or however many other tracks you have would get out of sync. So that's not what you want. The way around that is to use this right here called sequence. And you can click this add media button and you can pull in things that you've already added if you wanted. I'm going to close out of that. Within any of these assets, if you click on anything here, you can, first of all, see the metadata about it. So you can see like the frame rate in frames per second, the duration of it, the audio if it has it. In this case, it doesn't, so it says none. The file size, the resolution, the bit rate, and then where it's used, how many compositions it's used in, or if it's not used at all. You can get all that information, and then of course you can preview it just like that. And then these three dots, you can hit this create sequence button, and then that file will become the first track in a new sequence. You can detach audio, which doesn't make sense because this one doesn't have audio, but if you did, you could turn a video into two separate layers, an audio layer and a video layer. So just like it sounds like, it's detaching the audio from the visual component. Replace, this is if you have a corrupted file, like the file is in here, but it's not playing back correctly, something's wrong with it. I could click replace file, it would have me browse through my computer and then find that either that same file and replace it, or find a better version of that file somewhere else on my computer and replace it. Yeah, that's what that's for. Create optimized asset. Honestly, I haven't used that. I assume this creates a proxy file out of it. And what that means is it says use this if you experience issues with playback or scrubbing. So what I'm guessing this does is creates a smaller version of this file, like a compressed version that'll play back faster, also known as a proxy file, where it's like a, yeah, what I already said, a smaller version of that file, where you make edits to it, and then in the final export or the final upload, it'll replace it with the highest quality version of the file. So it's a way to make your editing process faster and smoother and use less CPU, GPU, etc. Repair file, won't go into that. Copy file to Finder. This will put it, if it's in your Descript folder on your computer, it's stored within your Descript application, but you want it on your computer, you can do this. On a Mac, you'll have this option. On a Windows, it'll probably say copy file to Windows or whatever the equivalent would be. But on Mac, it'll say copy file to Finder. And then lastly, delete. This will get it out of my media bin. It'll get it out of Descript. So I've pretty thoroughly gone through the media bin. Does anyone have questions? And each type of file will have differences in the options. So that was a GIF that I just showed you, the options for a GIF. If I go to an audio file, you can see I have a lot more stuff I can do with it. Some of it's similar, like delete, copy to Finder, import transcript, repair file, replace, that's all the same. You can separate it into mono files, convert to mono. You can do normalize audio. So if you have a certain LUFS level based on the intended destination of this audio. You can do that here. You can create a sequence out of it. So once again, if I did that, this track would become the first track in a new sequence. I can transcribe it. This will like manually prompt it to start a transcription on this file. Add new layer, insert into script. We'll take this file and just put it into the script layer, which would then transcribe it as well. Create sequence, already talked about that. New composition from file would open up a new composition with just this file in it. And of course I could add files from there, but it would just be the starting point. Or I could rename it and I could call this just song, for example. And then to add it, well, first of all, if I click on it, it doesn't add it yet to my project. It gives me this preview window in the case of music where I have the sound waves. There's no visual component in the sense of a video or an image. So it's just the sound waves. I can play it to preview it. And then I can insert it into my script, or I can do add new layer and add it as a new layer instead of my script layer. That's an audio file as well. And you can see it has this little headphone icon for the audio files. The image files, anything with a visual component will have a little thumbnail, and you can hover over it and it'll do a little pop-out thumbnail so you can see what it is that image is at a glance. And if you click on an image, it gives you the visual preview here, and there's nothing to play in the case of an image. So all you can do is add new layer with that image. With a video, you can play it.
You're considering between the Rode NT.
And look at how pixelated that is. I don't know if this is coming through well on the stream, but it's super pixelated. And
You're considering between the Rode NT USB Mini.
But don't worry, it's probably just an optimized version. And so let me put this into the script. Let's see how it looks. I'm gonna close that. And it looks pretty pixelated there too. But on export, it should pull my full resolution version, my 4K version of that video, and use that in the exported version. So that's an important thing to understand with Descript and any other editor, is the concept of proxy files, that what you see is not necessarily what you'll get in the final version. There is a bit of a color variation in Descript. So one thing I noticed on my videos is when I do the screen recorder, blues will look purple. Like my Descript Mastery background right here, if you see where my mouse is, let me turn on my cursor thing. Here on the left side, like the blue shows up as purple from Descript's screen recorder. And I could probably find a filter to change the color, but just to be aware of that Descript does do some color shifting, not only in export, but in the recording process, and things like that happen. So I know that's a source of annoyance for some people. And different editors will do that. And it's not only Descript, it comes down to the monitor you have and all sorts of different variables that go into that. So, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of AI actions to fill the last few minutes here, unless anyone has any questions. So one thing I want to show you, if you go to actions here, this is where all your different AI tools are going to live. Now, the one tool that I always use is, if you come down to Ask AI, this is your ChatGPT functionality here, and it's going to use your transcribed text to do whatever you tell it. So if I ask it to add chapters or markers, the prompt to ChatGPT is add chapters to this script, aim for ... chapters overall. And it's a 10-minute video, let's say like, I don't know, 7 chapters. And I hit enter. AI is thinking. I'll just give it a moment here. And there we go. I'm not gonna read, I trust it enough at this point that I don't always check the chapters that it comes up with. I'm just gonna say add to script. And there it is. There's an introduction. The introduction at 0 seconds in the video is crucial for YouTube. If you don't have that, the chapters won't work. So tip there if you plan to use chapters. And then, so yeah, that's usually one of the first things I'll do, because then as I play through the video, I can spot check that these markers that it creates are accurate. So right here, it identified that I start talking about price comparison and what's included. And that looks like a good edit because
that video. The first thing to think,
I use those swoosh things to indicate a topic change. And yeah, ChatGPT did a good job finding that transition. If I click on the next one, essential accessories and setup tips, key features of both microphones. Yeah, it did a good job. It finds transition words like next we're going to talk about, the next thing you need to worry about, third, that type of thing. So final thoughts right here. So what's cool about these too is you also get this button right here that says jump to marker. This does not exist until you create markers. So until you create your first marker, that button doesn't exist. And that first one at the top will take me all the way to the top. That's the name of this composition, is Giphy. And then if I go to the second one, that goes to this first marker. If I go to like one in the middle, key features, scrolls me down there. So it's a navigational aid. And if you had a really long podcast where they're covering a wide range of topics, that's how you could quickly sort through things. And a way to quickly have ChatGPT make those markers for you. Now, the other advantage, besides the navigational aspect as the editor, is if you go to publish and you do the publish to YouTube function, which I always do. A lot of people complain about this, but they're probably using it wrong. I made a video about it. If you have questions, happy to go into it. So again, I mentioned it's crucial to have your first marker right at 000. If you don't have that, your markers won't work in YouTube. It won't create those chapters for you. But as long as you got that, everything after it will automatically be chopped up, divided up, where the viewer can click around and go to these specific topics inside of the video. And so they're time stamped. So the next one's at 53 seconds. And then the viewer would be able to click on this. There will be a link that says price comparison and what's included. And when they click on that, it'll scroll the playhead to that point in the video. So that's all done for you automatically. Now, while I'm here talking about the YouTube publish feature, the other cool thing that a lot of people don't know about is this right here. This is your thumbnail. And you can do a change frame. And it's not loading. It's just showing a black thing. Let's give this a moment. There we go. So you could find a specific frame in your video and you could say use frame. And that can become the thumbnail for your video. Or you could upload and you could choose one. Let me choose the exact, yeah, this was the one. And then that can become my thumbnail when I upload this to YouTube. And then all the normal stuff. So the timestamps here, those go in the description of the video. And then you could put, by default, it says this is a video about, and then it puts in the name of the composition. But you could swap that out with anything you want. Like I could say, this is a video about microphones. Today I compare the top 2 Rode microphones head to head, whatever, something like that. And then you could change the title. This will be the title. So this title here is the title inside of Descript. And then the second title here is the title for YouTube. So you can change that. You could have them be different. And then you can set the category. You can set the tags. It defaults to Descript, but you could say microphone, Rode, tutorial, something like that. And then you can set the privacy. And then when you hit sign into YouTube, it'll take you to your browser. You'll choose the channel that you want to put it on, and then you'll click sign in with Google, and it'll publish from there. It'll take you back to the app, and then you'll have to hit publish one more time inside of Descript in order to finalize that. And the crucial step, I mentioned that most people do this wrong, is you should upload it to the web link first. So before you publish to YouTube, publish to the web link, let it finish rendering, which depending on the length of the video, and this is a 10-minute video, so it'll probably take 2.5 to 3 minutes. And then once that's done rendering, I'll go to YouTube and then do the whole process I just walked you through, sign in. And you notice it lost everything I put in there. It kept my thumbnail, but it lost everything except for the timestamps. The timestamps won't go away. So that's one thing to be careful of as well, is that you lose all that data when you navigate away. Personally, I don't set the thumbnail here. I don't change anything here. I use the timestamps from ChatGPT, but I don't set anything else here because I like to do it on the YouTube side. And then you can also get tools like TubeBuddy and vidIQ if you're familiar with those. They're Chrome browser extensions that automatically give you YouTube tags and things like that. So yeah, I pretty much just usually take this, publish it as is, and then do all the finishing touches inside of YouTube Studio. Now, the other thing I was going to show you along those lines is back to Ask ChatGPT. So if you click on any of these things here, I showed you add chapters or markers, but if you do remove retakes, edit for clarity, any of these other ones, then those would be, they're pre-built prompts. So if I click on one of them, find good clips, for example, this is the pre-built prompt. Find 5 options for clips I can pull from this script. Each clip should be around 30 seconds long. But that's not a defined feature. I can change that to anything I want. Again, I've said it 5 times. It's just ChatGPT. So I could just delete that and I could say, give me YouTube tags, comma, separated, less than 500 characters about this script. Hit enter, and it does it almost immediately. And these aren't really comma separated, but let's see, if I do copy to clipboard, I'll now be able to like paste this in somewhere. So let's just paste it into this YouTube box. Hit paste. Yeah, those aren't really comma separated, and they're not really good either. Gaming, streaming, not really relevant. Some of it is, but it's also the quality of my prompt. So just like a lot of things, like, you know, it's my fault as the prompter. But yeah, a lot of these pre-built ones will get you 80% of the way there. The ones I use the most are add chapters or markers, remove filler words, and shorten word gaps. Remove retakes is also handy if you're doing like something where you just run the camera and probably unscripted. If it's scripted, you're probably going to have a lot less errors. But if you're just speaking off the cuff and you just let the camera run, the remove retake is great for that, because you can just, if you make a mistake, you can just keep the camera running, say the line again, and then use this tool. Here's the prompt that it has: detect and delete all the repeated takes from this recording. And then let me go ahead and run it. Let's see if it finds anything. And then it'll identify those points where it thinks you did a second take, and then it'll cross out the one that it thinks was worse. But keep in mind, it's only going off of the text. It can't hear the tonality of your voice. It can't hear your intentions. So it doesn't always get it right. You're considering you're doing that. It'll have strikeout through anything that it doesn't. Like right there, was it, it was. And then all I would have to do is say apply edits to script, and it'll do that strikeout. That's the ignore feature, which, by the way, I can talk about. So one very important thing for beginners to know is the delete versus ignore functionality. So if you select some words and you hit the delete key on your keyboard, it gets rid of it. And nothing's ever truly gone in Descript. It's what's called non-destructive. So I could restore it in a number of ways, but I'm gonna just hit undo and bring it back. So notice it was gone from not only my video, not only my timeline, but it was also gone from my transcript. So that's delete. The other option is this one right here, ignore. And it's gone from my video now, but it's not completely gone from my transcript. It stays there. It turns a little bit lighter gray and then has the strike through it. So that's the ignore functionality. And that's a recommended best practice because it allows you to maintain awareness that something was there. And so if you want to restore it, you're like, you can see too this gray, this vertical dotted line right there, this perforated right there behind my cursor. That's indicating that a cut was made there in the clip. And so if I had deleted it, I would see those lines still, but I wouldn't see the word. So I wouldn't know exactly what was deleted. But by having used the ignore function, I can see exactly that I deleted "you're considering between the road and T," and then I can simply put my mouse on the boundary there and restore. Let me do this and restore that text. And you can see as I restore it, it turns to black again, like so. Alternatively, let me undo that. Alternatively, I can select the portion that I ignored. I can just highlight it, and then I can hit the strikeout feature again, and now it's back. So I've restored it like that. So lots of different ways to get to the same result. And then if you hit these little drop down here, the first one is the ignore media. That's what we talked about. You can change it to delete. I just deleted it. So that's how you delete it from that pop-up. There's also replace with gap, which it took out that exact selection and just put in it's just black. There's no visual component and there's no audio there. It's just a gap clip. Let me undo that and go back. And the last one is remove from transcript. So this is the opposite of ignore. Ignore, remember, it takes it out of our video, but leaves it in the transcript with the strike through. So remove from transcript removes it from our transcript, but it leaves it in the video. So you see the sound waves are still there. It's just not transcribed anymore. The words are gone above that range of soundtrack. And these dots, these indicate that there's no detectable words right there. So I can highlight those and I could strike them out again. I could delete them. It tells me how long it is in milliseconds. So 3,450 milliseconds long. I could change the length of it. I can play it. Just
Considering between the road and TUSB.
Just play that particular stretch. Or I could correct it. Correct it would allow me to put in, just type in here, anything I want. And then when I hit enter, hit correct, let's see what this does. This might confuse it. But this would be a way to manually transcribe, essentially. Like you're manually overriding what shows up as transcribed above that text. I don't think it's going to work there. But we are at time. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll end with another pitch, which is that I have a brand new product. It's completely free, and it's called, where did I put it? 7 Days to Descript Mastery. It's an email course. All you have to do is if you have a Gumroad account, then that's all you need. If you don't, you can create one for free. And then as soon as you sign up, you get an email with your day one assignment. There's a project that you'll complete over and I just got a question. So information about my channel. Yeah, so are you doing podcasts or interviews with like multiple people? And yeah, it doesn't matter. It sounds like you're putting out a lot of time in interviews. And are you on the pro plan or creator plan, or which plan are you on? I can talk about transcription for a bit and how to conserve your time. Basically, if you go to your settings, so first of all, if you need things transcribed, then it's different. But if you don't need everything transcribed, then what I'd recommend to you is this option right here that says always ask before transcribing. Okay, creator plan. Yeah, 10 hours is not much if you're doing interviews. And so this thing right here, always ask before transcribing, if you turn it on, and then when you bring your files into Descript, it'll give you that prompt, do you want us to transcribe it? And then just cancel out, and it won't transcribe it. Now, the problem with that is without the transcription, you can't use any of those cool AI tools, and you can't edit. I mean, Descript is built around the transcription, so it's super important, especially for spoken word stuff. But if it's like something where there's a lot of empty space, you could cut down on, because it just takes the length of the file. So if you have 2 clips, like you have yourself and then your guest on an interview, and they're each 1 hour long, it's going to eat up 2 hours of transcription, 1 hour per track. And so right off the bat, that's used up 20% of your month, your month's allocation. So yeah, so just to understand how that works too is super important. And that also means be careful of, like, maybe you started a project, you've messed it up, and you kind of want to start over. Don't go into a brand new project and retranscribe it, or you'll eat 2 hours again retranscribing the same files. The way around it is, so this thing's already transcribed in this project. What I could do is I could copy this. I could just hit Command C. I could go back. I could go to new video project, and I can just paste it in there, and it's already transcribed, and that's not going to eat any more transcription time. Now, that's a pretty specific use case, so that might not help, but it helps to learn about all this stuff so that you at least know, like, ways that you can cut back. And then you can see your transcription time here, so you can see what all your different files that are getting transcribed and how many minutes it's eating up, and it rounds up. So, like, my file down here is 10 minutes and 52 seconds, but you can see it used up 11 minutes of my transcription time. And what else? I personally don't even use that. Like, I edit a lot, as you can imagine. I'm in Descript all day, every day, and I've only used 22 hours, 32 minutes, because I'm not doing a lot of not a lot of interview type of stuff, because that's what really eats up the time. Is if you have 10 speakers, which you can have coming out of Squadcast, and it's an hour long, there goes your month right there, an hour per track. So yeah, be aware of that. It seems like there's something else I was going to tell you. I think that's the biggest one, is, like, just, if you can get away with it, don't transcribe it. Just turn that thing on so it prompts you, and then just opt out. You can, I mean, maybe it's worth it to upgrade to the Pro plan too. I don't know how much you're using, but you can also pay for, let me see here, Descript. You can pay just to have more transcription time. I don't know if you've looked into that. Like, at the very bottom here, they have a note. Right here, can I purchase additional transcription hours? By default, the creator plan has a monthly transcription time of 10 hours per month. Pro has 30 hours. This helps us moderate demand and ensure a fast turnaround for everyone. If you're looking for a permanent change to your monthly hours, you can increase your transcription limit at $2 per hour, and then you just fill out a form. So yeah, so if you're using 20 hours a month in different interviews, then that would be like an extra $20 a month if you went that route. So alternatively, it would probably make sense for you to get the pro plan, which monthly is 30 versus 15 at a monthly rate, or 12 versus 24. In Canada, yeah. So yeah, I guess it just depends on your usage, and then if you are able to get away with transcribing less. Oh, okay. So what I was gonna say is, if in your interviews you have like some dead space at the beginning or the end, you could. This is kind of a lot of extra work, but not a lot, but you could tell me if it's worth it or not. Put it into Descript. Don't transcribe it. Trim the dead space at the beginning and end, and maybe that cuts off 5 or 10 minutes. So then you're not eating into so much transcription time. And then transcribe it once you've made that file shorter, and then you'll burn less transcription time. Again, that's kind of just trimming away at the margins. That's not really, if you're going double over the allocated amount, then probably your best bet is to go with the pro plan. But just some options for you. Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. That was the first one of the day, the first and only one. I appreciate it. And so I'll get back to this. This is my little mini course that I'm doing. You sign up, day one, you'll get an assigned project along with some just really basic introduction to Descript type of stuff, both in written form and then links to my videos, so relevant videos that are here on this YouTube channel. And then from there, 24 hours later, you'll get your day 2 project, which is about understanding layers, applying layers, things like that, and so on. Each day, building on the skills until by the end, you have a video that you're ready to publish and export. And you can do this on the free plan. There's going to be some limitations, like the templates, for example, you can only make in the paid tiers. And then you're limited on the amount of transcription time, you're limited on the amount of stock footage that you can use. But basically, you can do this whole course on the free plan, and it's free to sign up. So I hope to see you in this. And I'm also doing live stream every single day this week. So I'll be here same time tomorrow and on Friday. Hope to see you here. Thanks for joining.